engineer of the greatest Stanley Cup party that we've ever seen at presentation, Reno Cerbon, owner and chef at Heritage Restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, where this was great. I'll let you tell the story.
So first off, good morning, you two fucking knuckleheads. Good morning, both of you. It's actually funny. He calls me up in the morning. He goes, hey, we're going to be in Fort Lauderdale today. He's like, would it be a chance that we could get to Heritage? Now listen to this. I actually told my brother, I'm like, fully booked tonight, guys. I'm like, I'm fully booked tonight.
He said I'm fully booked.
I'm kind of
Fully booked.
Keep
so
your...
like, and he goes, oh man, he's like, all right, whatever. He's like, let me call you back. So Bill Zito's good friends with, there's another restaurant around town called Livy. They have a nice big outdoor space. Like, I'll tell you what, go over there and I'll just stop by and want to see you and the family. And I had a little bit of time during my rush, and I just snuck over there because I just want to hang out with my family. And as we're there, me and Bill Zito are talking, and he goes, yeah, this is fun, right? Cheers, cheers, cheers. He goes, I was carry up and bring this fucking thing to your place. And I was like, what? And I was like my brother, he's like, yeah. He's like, we're going to go. He's like, we're going to surprise you, but let's go. And I was like, fuck. So I run back over there, and I'm like, holy shit. First, I'm waiting for my brother, and I'm like, all right, I think I have a couple minutes. And as I'm like thinking I have a couple minutes, I see him walking right across the street with this fucking Stanley Cup. And sure enough, since people saw him, they were standing up, applauding. It was such a beautiful interaction between him and fans. People were going nuts.
Wow.
They didn't care. Let me say about the prospects. We were thinking about all kinds of things to do, but what we really wanted to do was the guy who watches the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
Sitting there, we're laughing about what we're going to do, and the guest goes, Reno, put pasta in it. Put pasta in it. And I was like, I know it's sterling silver. Can I put pasta in it? You know, I don't want to ruin it. They go, you do whatever you want today.
Wow.
Like, fuck it. We'll put bolagnese in it. So we ate pasta and pizza off the Stanley Cup. Listen, everyone's drinking out of it. Everybody's drinking shots out of it. Let's see pasta out of that bitch.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I really, I can't get enough of that story. And the picture, I mean, knowing Reno Cerbon, and you guys have seen him here on the show. He's come on as he came our version of Don Cherry, did he not? I mean, the guy was, and he was on the money with most of the things that he said, inside stuff there, and really kind of gave you a feeling for what it was like to be one of these guys on the team, which is a tough thing to understand when it comes to hockey.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why. I mean, I would imagine that you would have to have some kind of reasonable team chemistry to be successful, even if it was based on antagonistic behavior like it was with the old Oakland A's. But somehow they were all into it, so it worked. But wow, I mean, you buy into this whole brotherhood thing, didn't you, Lubie, with the hockey players? My God.
Well, and he said all year when we had him on that this team was different.
Yeah.
And even already, like hockey teams are already like a brotherhood. He said this team is just special. And you saw it in the playoffs. Whenever they had any kind of adversity, they got down 2-1 to the Rangers after going up 1-0. They gave up a 3-0 lead versus the Oilers.
They did some stupid things during the playoffs. With the shorthanded goals, and even in the finals. So it was not a team that was without flaw, but yeah, I mean, you really did get the impression, and especially, post championship celebrations, usually everybody comes off as if, you're not usually saying, hey, you know what, we would have won more easily if it wasn't for that fuckhead Jaylen Brown. You don't hear that kind of stuff, right? So, I mean, it's not uncommon to have like a lot of sort of rhetoric about how great the team is and how important all the other guys were on the team, even down to the lowest guy, and the equipment manager is singled out. But you did feel that. I sense that was genuine, and not just unique to the Panthers, but with virtually every club. So kind of interesting. Does it run deeper there than it does in any other sport, Lubie? Is that something we could say with any kind of foundation in truth, or are we just making this up because it sounds good?
It feels like, I don't know. It just feels like hockey is different.
It does, yes.
Way, and including how. Look, I mean, we know players these days are closer to opponents than they used to be and all that, but I don't know. It feels in hockey like they have their best interests, and then also the team interests are almost aligned. And in other sports, you definitely don't always feel that in football or basketball. I mean, it's literally me. And I get it. You got to get your money, and that's fine. But like, they let it be known to the world that that's how they feel. In hockey, I would know. Like, you don't even know half the contracts. Even when they get monster contracts, it's usually for like 25 years. So
yeah, you're looking at guys, big time guys making $6-7 million is a big number. I mean, look, Bobrovsky, the top goaltender, a guy that now has a Stanley Cup, and you could say, I mean, it wasn't like he was any perfect. You weren't thinking this is Patrick Waugh out there because every game you thought it was suspect, right?
Yes.
But he acquitted himself very well. Should have won the overall MVP for the playoffs. I think that was a con job there. Although, look, Connor McDavid's great. But come on, man. Did you see, I mean, still with the shakes, like he was Freddie Roach in the corner there, not to make fun of a guy with Parkinson's, but I have not seen a guy shake like that in a long, long time. Have you, Gary Bettman, when he was giving out that award, he had to say, oh, by the way, even though you guys just won the championship and it was all based on your goalies played tonight.
Exactly.
And the fact that he had mowed down 3 other monster teams out of the Eastern Conference in the process of getting you here, and then was spectacular early and had a couple of shitty games, but nonetheless, would you say if Bobrovsky's no better? I mean, could you have found a guy that would have done better for you than Bobrovsky? Was he not the most valuable guy that you had in the postseason overall? I mean, when you're taking into account overall, I thought it was no contest. I mean, I know McDavid had like record numbers of points and everything.
He was fantastic, and
that was before the final.
A few good games in the final. He had a couple great games, but then he had a few where on the stat sheet, and again, that's what they put all this stuff on the stat sheet. He did nothing in 5 of the 7 games. I mean,
and had every reason to be exhausted because he was carrying this fucking brick of a team on his back. Along with Draisaitl, who also was out of gas by the time he got to the final round. That should have been a walkover for the Panthers. How'd that end up going 7? What are we talking about? Anyway, enough on that. There's our recap of the hockey season. Black Wednesday, Lubie. I know you were unaware of the term until we connected on the radio about 15 years ago now. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I was thinking about that on the Walk of Life the other day. It's like, how long have I known Lubie, man? Because I was trying to figure out how long I'd known the Mustang, so that I could, acknowledge certain anniversaries and things like that might be. Now, is that just a sign of old? Can I use old age as an excuse, Lubie, at this stage? 73.
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah, and the fact that I don't remember, what year we met or whatever, or how many years it was. I figured out it was 13. So I've known you a couple of years longer than the Stang. I believe, yeah. I think we started 15 years back.
It was June 2010 is when I first. So it's like,
and I would throw out a term like Black Wednesday, and you'd look at me and go, "Oh my God, this guy's going to get us fired with some kind of racist rant here." Like I was going to put on blackface, and then we'll go on the air there and inaugurate our video stream from the. Remember when we had those guys come in, those clowns that were going to video stream our radio show? Remember the face on Grace Blazer, the program director, when she came in to tell me that we had to shut this shit down? That was a face. They never got it, Lubie. They just they never said. I mean, we were ahead of our time. Now, what does every radio show do? They stream their show.
Every show, yep.
Nobody shows up at the studio anymore. They do something very similar to this.
Yep.
So, and I would imagine the audio-only version is compromised a little bit because you tend to approach it a little bit differently if you don't think the people are seeing you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, is there a slightly different approach? You got to keep the ball in the air.
Yep.
And it was interesting because I would throw a term like that at you, and then you would look at me like I was crazy. And actually, I was first alerted to it by the great Eddie Kaplan, who said, hey, this is known as Black Wednesday because there was nothing to bet on the day after the All Star game. There was nothing at the time. You had Major League Baseball going. There was no WNBA. And there was really nothing else going on professionally. I don't even know. I mean, it goes back and predates the MLS, if you wanted to consider that a sport. Are people betting MLS games outside of Jim Sarney?
Yeah, I'm sure. People bet everything.
MLS games, wow.
Andy bets ping pong overseas.
I mean, that now you're talking about,
sickness.
I don't want to use words like sick fuck, but
I know.
He would admit it. He would consider that an honor, flattering to be considered a sick fuck.
I know, but
These guys are have to be gargling with Dilaudid, no? I mean, in the past, the degenerate who had, you would get the shakes like Gary Bettman just thinking about the fact that there was no action that day.
Shakes like Gary Bettman.
And think about that. I mean, that was only pacified that this whole urge to gamble on something by betting on Major League Baseball, which is no bargain anymore. I don't think because it's much more difficult. I would imagine. I don't know any. I mean, Troy West, he was doing real well for us on one of our other shows, handicap of baseball. I think he was undefeated. He gave us a
Yes.
string of like 6 straight winners, and
Yep.
and then off the air, he was giving out a couple of winners every night also. But
Yep.
but how do you handicap baseball at this point? Just between I mean, there's some god awful teams like the Marlins. What would you be making a profit if you had bet against the Marlins in every game? I mean, are they so bad at 33 and 63 that you would compensate for the fact that they were always going to be underdogs and that you would have to bet a lot of money on the other team to cash? So a couple of those 33 losses could have tagged you. They're not 3-1 underdogs though in games. That's
Mm.
too big of a
No,
spread
it's baseball. I
in
mean,
Major League
again, that's
Baseball.
the problem with baseball is like teams just mail games in. I mean, against whatever the competition. There's so many freaking games. Baseball is almost impossible to bet these days. I mean, because starters don't stay in games, so you can't
It's tough, yeah, with the starting pitchers.
starter, and then you don't know if the bullpen's gas. It's
Well, and the cookie cutter managerial styles. I mean, where okay, the sixth inning comes up, this guy's coming out, and then you have your sixth inning guy, your seventh inning guy, your eighth inning guy, and your ninth inning guy. And if it gets that far, you have your 10th inning guy when they go to playing softball, and put a guy out there on second base. Which, to tell you the truth, Lubie, as much of a so-called baseball purist as I would have considered myself at one time, I mean, to the right of like George Will or one of these guys, that was always. How do you get known as a baseball purist, Libby? Would you consider Costas a baseball purist? He might have been. He was opposed to change, and so was I. But would you not prefer if you were at a ball game, even, and it was like 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast or wherever you happen to be? Game started at 7:30. It's going into extra innings. It's dragging along. It's a high-scoring game. Do you really want to see like 26 innings? I don't think so.
Talking to the wrong person. I'm the one that I would be like how Tony Segreto was talking about Joey in the games that they used to go to, and Joey's not a big baseball guy, so he's like, "All right,
Yeah.
the sixth inning, you ready to go?" And Tony would look at him with disgust. Like my mom was like that, and I always was like, "Nah, it's the seventh, we can go." My mom was like, "What do you mean? We're gonna stay to the
Yeah.
last pitch."
Get the fuck out of here.
Pitch.
At one time, I was that guy, but then I had a complete metamorphosis, and I became just the opposite. I don't mind staying if it's interesting, but my attention span isn't what it once was for baseball. That's for
Exactly.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I would have considered it outrageous to leave a game when I was a kid before the final out, and Ira the Met fan is very much like that.
Yes.
Well, to the point of inflicting your and subjecting yourself to torture. Literally, I mean, I remember being with him in a game at the Mets were still playing at Shea, and it was a game he took me to in April. And I'd been living in Florida, so my blood had thinned down to the point where sitting in extreme temperatures for a long period of time without being able to move around is not favorable.
Yeah.
You're talking about hypothermia setting in like by the fourth inning. And I'm covered with a blanket and everything because the wind would whip into Shea Stadium off whatever that bay is there. Is that Jamaica Bay or something? I guess. I'm asking you, Mr. New York.
I've never been to. I've been in New York many a time. I've never been to Queens actually. Now that
Oh fuck, man! I mean, and it would be like a night game in April, and it was fucking cold, Libby. I wasn't used to it, and but he made me stay. It was a boring game too. They were playing the Braves and or the Pirates, I think, and the Pirates were winning like by 6-7 runs.
like what are you saying for?
And this guy's making me stay till the last pitch. I really was ready to die. I think that soured me on baseball forever. Fucking freezing, Libby. Freezing.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, but I don't know. If I went to a Marlins game, would I stay for the? Do you see how bored the people are in the stands at a Marlins game? Is that universal all around baseball? the people, if you watch a Marlins game, the people even in the fancy schmancy seats behind home plate there, where they
Well, the
got a little
Marlins is the best. I mean, look,
yeah, the Marlins. But I mean, but everybody's on their cell phone and nobody's watching the action. Nobody.
not every. I feel like if I do come across a game, that people usually are into it in other cities. I mean, right now it's our friend George was asking how much would they pay you how much would they have to pay to go to game, and I laughed. I said Defo used to go regularly. That we don't have a problem getting down to that stadium. We actually like it. It's pretty accessible, and once you're there, the stadium to me, stadium experience there.
Good ballpark from viewing. Yes,
it's the product this year. It's just rough. Like I don't see going this year. You went last year. Every year, Ira. You have other friends that like to go. You've never like put up a fuss or anything. Like we're not the people that bitch about that stadium. We actually, it's farther than we'd like, but it's not impossible to get to. And the game, once you're there, the game, the actual again, like views are great. It's just this year's a fucking joke. I mean, to go down.
The problem is crossing into Dade County at this point.
Oh, yeah. Well,
where all of a sudden, I mean, Trump's talking about a third world country, and I'm not, saying this because of any, ethnic or whatever, background. It's just true that the people, well, as soon as you cross into Dade County, the driving tactics are they altered completely. It's like Formula One versus NASCAR from Broward to Dade. It's unreal.
Is it bad that I feel more comfortable there? Like I was there Saturday, and I like. I'm just driving like a loon.
I spent much time there. Trust me.
Like I get into Broward and I have to like control myself. And it's not like Broward's perfect. It's still South Florida, but it's
no. I mean, the drivers are awful. Probably. I mean, you would hear this in every city. Oh man, nobody drives like the people here. They all suck.
Great. Miami, you can do like the stuff you would get.
You don't know if the guy next to you is passed away and is at the wheel. Like literally Weekend at Bernie's.
Like you pull moves anywhere, even in Broward. Like you cut someone off. This guy the other day, this was weeks ago, was like followed me to keep giving me the middle finger, and I'm like, dude,
oh yeah, no, that road
like,
rage.
Miami, that's what's funny. People worried about the highways. That's fine. But if you drive in Miami like a lunatic, no one even notices. They're like, yeah, that's normal.
Very normal. Yeah. I mean, the rules are suspended there of any kind of road etiquette. That's for sure.
They don't honk.
Tires are flying out of nowhere, even though they didn't come off any car. People are dropping stones from the bridges. The fuck?
It's classic. We were there Saturday.
Other than that, I mean, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? No, the drive down there, and then unfortunately, the game time starts. What do they go like 6:40 sometimes, 7:10?
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, you're hitting the just absolute armpit of traffic, and it can be just even in the express lanes, it can be. Treachery, and then you get there, you're all psychotic, and then finally you're trying to figure out whether to park at that. I usually park at that Shell station.
Oh, good for you. That's way easier to see. That's my other problem with even when the place is empty, the garages usually still get.
It's a little bit of a schlep, but you're in and out burger, man. I mean, you're right under the streets.
Oh, but that you can get right out. That's the thing. Yeah. That's another reason why I like leaving early. Like even when they don't have tons of fans, the garages get full, and if you wait. If you're up high and you have to wait till the end and you
the garage up high, forget it.
You're never leaving. Yeah, so like, the Shell is actually a smart move. You can get the fuck in and get the hell out.
Yeah, I made that mistake. I tell you, I went with Big Rich. He parks on the top floor of the garage for a Yankee game, which was fully attended.
Nope.
And we stayed till the end because I think it ended up being like a walk-off home run or something by A-Rod, and so everybody was, still in the stands, and it took us probably an hour and a half to get out of the garage.
Yep.
It was worse than getting out of a thing at the Hard Rock.
Oh,
where the concert lets out and now everybody's in their car and you're trying to get out of there. That flows smoothly by comparison to the very ill-conceived Marlins garage. Who puts these things together? Did they ever think for a second, hey, you know what? If you're on the top floor here, you're fucked.
You're never leaving.
Unbelievable. All right, so we got a lot of stuff happening. So the All Star game, we gave out a couple of winners yesterday. I don't know if we did it on this show. We did it on one of our shows.
We talked about it everywhere. I always go all the American
League, yeah, and the over.
Otani hit a bomb too, and that's all the runs they got. That's sort of the thing now. It's become like where the other sports you talk about, it's an annuity, the over. Like baseball is the opposite now. Like I don't know.
It had been an under many, many times. The trend was under. Well, that's why. I mean, this guy was brilliant in his handicapping, and then he loses by half a run. Of course.
I mean,
you're fucked.
For it to go even be around and over at 5-3. Like 5-3 is just a regular score. Like
Yes,
used to be like
it's an all-star game. Got
Yeah.
great hitters. The pitchers aren't necessarily going to be on top of their game. Although the Skeens man got out of what? He walked Soto and that was it. Pitched a 1 inning. Pretty interesting aspect of the baseball season. All right, not much compelling conversation about baseball here, except for the fact that they moved Jazz Chisholm back into the infield strictly so that they could trade this guy. And then, of course, Tanner Scott's going to be gone. So you'll have no closer. And one of your few guys with any kind of punch whatsoever, how limited it may be on offense, is going to be gone. And that's it. And he was a popular player, Jazz Chisholm, but maybe beyond the level of his productivity to justify this, popularity that he enjoys. But it takes a while for people here, since they're so indifferent and distance from baseball, to turn on a guy. Would you say? Because the fans still embrace Jazz Chisholm. He comes up to the plate there, maybe 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, and he hits a pop up, and they're still, hey, Jazz, all right, way to go. Unbelievable. All right, we're going to go get out of here. You got the Open coming up, too. And the odds there are phenomenal, aren't they? I know it's almost impossible to predict, but you would have some contenders. I can't believe if you were ever going to be a chalk player, and I don't know that he's going to win it, he wouldn't be one of my selections, even at 14-1. But how do you get 14-1 on Scotty fucking Scheffler, Lubie? That's great. It's unbelievable. Now, I'm going to go ahead and back this guy again, even though you say he's a choking dog. And
I would want more oomph.
More than 25-1 on Ludwig
really
Goldberg.
So for to go with a random like that, I want 30-41. That's the thing. Like Ken's theory, I get it. Like in golf, you want a certain level of odds. To me, except for if you get weird odds with a really good player, 14-1 on a guy that really is the favorite by many people's estimation. That's nuts. Like usually, even in a big field like this, it'd be 6 or 8 or 10. 14-1 on a guy that probably is going to win it is nuts.
What was it? Was it a British Open? Then a cash with Jordan Spieth at 14-1? I think it was. Where that was the one where the professor got burned. He had Matt Kuchar at 100-1, and Kuchar looks like he's in a position to win the thing, but they allowed Jordan Spieth a lie relief where he was literally buried underneath 100 pounds of trash that was about to be dispensed with, and they let him move it out into the fairway. And he went on to win the tournament. Was that at the British Open? I'm going to say yes to that, Lubie. So we've had some success there over the years. But that was 14-1, and he was one of the favorites. That was at a time where he was kind of, the hot play, much like Scotty Scheffler would be, although he wasn't winning at the rate that Scheffler is. What about your man, John Rahm? Did the sellout to the Saudis do him in?
I haven't heard him.
Is he finished?
Attention. Does he even do anything? I haven't heard his name in a long time.
The swashbuckling Spaniard, the second coming of Seve. What about this guy? Done, huh? Brooks
I haven't
Koepka?
heard him at all. I haven't heard. I mean, Koepka flirts with it, but I haven't heard Rahm's name.
When do you throw in the towel completely on Tommy Fleetwood Mac ever winning one of these tournaments?
He's next. I wouldn't bet him to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet him to win. Anyone named Cameron. I mean, you got to take all the Camerons. That's what the polymath said. Yeah. And this Ludwig Oberg, he's due to go ahead and finish one off, isn't he?
Look, if he wins, 25-1 is a nice number, but I think it would be a shock if he wins. So to me, if I'm going with a shock guy, I want more bang.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get 45-50 to 1 on guys that
and they can win, yeah.
I love this thing, man. It's great. All right, that's coming up tomorrow. It's Black Wednesday today, so get your Xanax out, you degenerate gamblers out there. All you have on the slate today are 2 WNBA games, one of which involves Caitlin Clark. I wonder what level of coincidence that is that it happened on Black Wednesday, Lubie, when they were desperate to snare viewers. All right, coming back, Tony Segreto goes old school, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That's coming up in just a sec here on the show, and we'll be back with that in a moment. Now that. How about Monty ragging on Tiger? That was great. It's 8:31.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, there he is, man, looking good as always. See, you give me hope. You give me faith, Tony Segreto. That it is possible to sort of morph gently into this old age and still be able to hold up. How are you, my friend? Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen, old school, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Well, I am great.
Good morning.
But I've got to get something off my chest.
Okay. A beef with us? I hope it's not that.
No, not with you. Not with
Okay.
Lubie. I can't stand the uniforms that the All Star team wears.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I used to like it. Didn't they wear their regular team uniforms back in the day?
Yes,
Yeah.
they used to wear their team and have a patch.
Yeah, I like that. I love that.
And their own hats. This is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. They look alike. Don't even get me started.
Man,
It is insane.
Our buddy, the Polyman, a very astute Bill James type observer of Major League Baseball and all things baseball, proposed that was the worst National League lineup ever to start an All-Star game in the history of the game.
Was by far. Now, I'm an American League guy, so I tend to, look at the American League lineup. But that was when you looked at the lineups, you went, "Wow,
who are these guys?" Yeah,
who are these guys? Who are these guys?
It had some star power in there, but when you looked at and this is always a debate, and I actually used to fall in line with the idea that I didn't care, like if somebody was out hitting Willie Mays, by like 30 points and played center field, then that should be the All-Star game starter. I thought whoever was having the best first half of the season should be in the game. But then I saw the merit on the other side because nobody wanted to see these schmucks. There were flashes in the pan in some cases. And who would you rather see? The greats of the game or, somebody that was just having a hot first half and may not even be able to sustain it. But it did seem like that was the emphasis on the National League side this year.
If it wasn't for Ohtani and Judge and players like that, really the star power, that was it. That was, I can't think of anything else beyond that.
Yeah. And yet the game is thriving. So
it is
interesting.
It is.
I mean, we've been writing it off forever as the American pastime, and they seem to be doing very well for themselves.
Yeah, but the uniforms have got to go.
All right.
Got to go.
Did you want to comment? It turned out to be an unfortunate story, but do you want to comment on the national anthem for the home run derby? Poor woman, she admitted to being drunk when she was out there. Yeah.
The next day, that's how bad it was.
I mean, she was drunk
out of her mind. Yeah, we didn't know that, but
she was annihilated.
Just thought it was a bad night at the karaoke bar. You do Nights in White Satin. Yeah. Picking the anthem is probably a bad move, when you're going to have to sing a cappella in front of, millions of people on TV and the people in the house there.
At what point did she say, "Oh God, I'm too drunk"?
Well, she later admitted it, and I guess I took the move of checking into a rehab center. Yes, And
But-
apparently is a very lovely young lady. I don't know. I mean, she must have just had a weak moment or something. But that was unfortunate. Although, when you see somebody butchering the anthem like that, I mean, it's one thing if it's Carl Lewis because he's not really a singer. Roseanne, you had a funny feeling that
Oh,
wasn't
she
going to
did
go
on
well.
purpose. Yeah, she did on purpose. She's a fuck.
I mean, I was a big fan of the Jose Feliciano version, and I was a big fan of Jose Feliciano until he came out with Feliz Navidad,
I love Feliz Navidad.
which makes you want to like jump off the rooftop of a building when you hear this song.
What's wrong with that song?
I love that song.
Oh, it's just overplayed, man. His version of "Light My Fire" I could listen to all day long, but Feliz Navidad, oh my god! I'd rather watch the Jardians commercial
Oh my god.
on an endless loop.
Why don't you say I'd rather watch the Ozempic commercial or
Yeah,
something like that?
Yeah. I mean, the same thing. But the Jardians one is where I don't want to say a fat chick, but they got this rather rotund woman, and she's singing and dancing and leading this whole thing, and then you're like, what the fuck? Just take your pill, man, and go away.
She's like singing in a theater.
Oh my God! Please, they're dancing on the fountains of Hialeah right in front of the Citation statue.
What are you doing?
It's crazy.
Let him go, Louis. Let him go.
I know.
All right. So I don't know. I mean, how much interest do you have in the baseball season as it resumes? And then were you ever victimized by the shakes on Black Wednesday, Tony? Where the day after the All Star game for years, I mean, there was no action whatsoever,
Major American sports.
and nobody could bet on anything. Now, I don't know that you were as inclined as others to be impacted by that, but
I was impacted by it.
oh yeah, I mean, you felt pain because there was no action on Black Wednesday.
Yeah, I felt pain. First of all, you can't be around Sonny Hirsch for as long as I was
Sonny.
and not be influenced
Yes.
way.
Oh, no doubt.
So,
Did he have a bet on everything? Like every game, he had a bet on. No.
now he had his little book, his little
Yeah.
white book with all the games of the week, and he had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday through Sunday. And
Did Sonny win? I mean, would you say he was a winner? I
say
sensed
he
he was not doing well when I was working with him.
he won and lost. He like any other bettor. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't get up, he didn't get down. But he was addicted.
He had action literally on every game. I believe he did.
Single
Yes.
game, every single game,
Yeah.
and you could tell by his reaction how he was doing.
You could tell in the call. Yeah.
So I was influenced that way. So I bet a few games here and there,
All right.
and didn't lose a lot, didn't win a lot, but it was
You were drawn in by the vigorous pursuit of gambling winnings that was inspired by Sonny Hirsch's action alone. Yeah, I used to love it because that was when I was doing baseball games with Sonny. We'd be sitting there in those cold cement seats.
Oh yeah,
where the broadcast location was. You weren't in a press box yet, but and he had the score phone back then. That was when you had to like scroll on your beeper for like score phone, and he'd be checking that. And he'd be in the middle of a call. There's the 3-2 pitch to Cora. And fuck, the White Sox are down 5-3. Hey, you believe this, DeForest? And you're like, Sonny, where's this coming from, man? I wasn't even that familiar with Scorephone. I didn't even know what he was doing.
He did that one time during a football game.
Yeah.
And it was it was an East Carolina game, something like that. Miami was up by 30 points. And someone was Bernie Kosar was throwing, and he goes, Bernie Kosar throw is complete. Oh my God, it's 5-4 White Sox.
Yeah, you would just break into it, or he would suddenly pound the table, and your shit would pop up in the air. It was like such a serious blow.
There were times I thought he broke his hand,
Yeah,
or the Orange Bowl press box.
Well, didn't he put a hole in the Orange Bowl press box? That's
Oh, yeah.
always something that will mark you forever in history as ultimate degenerates. Andy Byer, the great Andy Byer, was known, and I think they may have even framed it for putting a hole in the wall in the Gulfstream Park press box when they had the old Gulfstream Park configuration. And he had been disqualified from pick six when the pick six first came into being, and what was a big jackpot pursuit, safari hunting. And he was about to make like a giant score, and they took his horse down and boom, right through the wall. And I think they left it up there, with a frame around it. But yeah, didn't Sonny do that in the? Was it not preserved historically by like the Orange Bowl Society?
Preserved now. Oh God,
yeah.
There are more Sonny Hurst stories. God rest his soul, but boy, oh boy, he was.
How many years ago did he check out? It seems like it's like a century ago already.
Yeah, 15, 20 years ago.
Wow, unbelievable, yeah. Yeah, he was a trip, man. He was great. He was the master, as we've said, of the fudged expense report, where I would turn in a legitimate expense, believe it or not, Tony, and then the GM would call me in and go, "Hey, how come both you and Sonny paid for this dinner?"
Well, sir,
why'd you pay him twice? Yeah.
Well, sir, I paid this much, and he paid. Well, in your backtrack.
Yeah, we both had the receipt. The bill would be like $400 or $500 because of course Sonny was inviting the entire coaching staff out, and and then he'd say, "Okay, you got this one. I'll put the next one on my report, whatever." I mean, we were getting paid back. It wasn't like they disputed any of this shit until they started looking at it and seeing that Sonny had paid for, any number of dinners that duplicated my expense report.
So, Lubie, how are you, baby?
I'm good, sir. I never met Sonny, so I don't really have much to add to the Sonny stories. I just love hearing them. They're classic for a guy that was such a legendary broadcaster to be such a character.
He's such a character, though. Amazing. He really is.
He was great. All right, Tony, are you a fan of the once known as the British Open? How do you feel about it being just called the Open? Does it matter to you? I'm having trouble getting used to that.
I hate
it. Why did they take the British out?
I don't know. When did they take it out? That's the question I have. Is that not a recent development?
Yeah, it has to be.
It's a little pretentious, isn't it, to just say that we are the Open, like the U.S. Open is bullshit. The Scottish Open means nothing. Italian Open, we're the Open. I mean, how ridiculously, insufferable is that on the part of the British?
Now, I'm a fan because I love it. I absolutely, I love that more than the U.S. Open.
You do? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Watching that is fun.
I don't know. It's un-American, Tony. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, the courses there are different. That's one thing.
If you get it in the rough, it's golf. It's real. I played in Europe.
Oh, you have? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's truly a treat. It's if you're a golfer of any sort, even a beginner, you have to go. You have to go. It's spectacular. It's spectacular, and to get it in the rough, what it's like, and it's impossible to get it out.
Yeah, no, it looks weird to me. I mean, it looks like they forgot some elements of the game. The sand traps are ridiculous. You need a rope ladder to climb out of those.
I got into a sand trap one time, and it's
impossible to get out of that for a duffer.
First of all, I couldn't hit it out.
Yeah.
Secondly, I couldn't get out myself.
It looks like, I mean, it looks like something that you would see. I don't know if you're a fan of the old, War Series Combat with Vic Morrow, where, he would run into the bunker and say, "Okay, we got to take the farmhouse. So the Germans are in there."
Yes.
And then he would lob like a grenade from in there. That would be the only way to get out of those sand traps.
And that was 30 years. I was 30 years younger. So I was, 50, 45. Yeah. And my God.
I like that you can hit putter from a couple of 100 yards away, too.
I was 250 yards out, and I struck a putter.
And it goes all over the place.
Say screw it.
And then it rolls up on the green like 2 feet from the cup. You're like, holy shit, how did the guy do that? It's crazy. It combines like elements of miniature golf, doesn't it?
It does. It really
into the
does.
regular thing. So it's hard to pick a winner because you don't know who's going to be able to adapt to this style of play. I mean, there are guys that have a good track record at it that are Americans, but you would have to think these Europeans would have a huge edge because they do it more often, no?
You would guess.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm going to give you Ludwig Oberg, and that's kind of chalky. Lubie thinks I'm being a real putz for that because
You are.
he's only 25 to 1. 25 to 1, Tony. I mean, what's wrong with that? 25 to 1, Tony. On a guy that has a chance. All right, we're going to bring on, you talk about a winner, man. This guy is a winner, and we often talk about Texas Roadhouse restaurants here on the show, very proudly so, because just a tremendous job. I was with some very astute restaurant people last night out to dinner at one of our favorite spots, the Cafe Seville, and I was with the owners of La Spada's Original Hoagies, which you're probably familiar with, Ed Garcia, La Spada's Original Hoagies. And they were talking about the pressures. I mean, they're both very successful. And yet they were saying, hey, food cost and labor is like bringing some of these restaurants to crisis level. And yet you guys at Texas Roadhouse, with as many places as you have, managing to deal with this all very, very smoothly.
Did you freeze?
I think
No,
Ed's moving. Can you hear us, Eddie?
Yeah. There he goes.
I think it's
Go ahead.
There you go. Yeah, we're losing Ed Garcia here.
I think his internet's in and out.
Yeah. This is one of those CNN moments. Well, okay, we'll be back with more convention coverage. They should have silenced some of these guys. I'm amazed, Tony. I don't know. I know your political leanings are very similar along the same lines as Louie and me. But, wow, I mean, when these people that were being belittled and absolutely just trolled by Donald Trump line up in succession and go, oh, he's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I want to puke. I really do. I mean, even the guy he picked as vice president called him an American Hitler.
Like a year ago.
His former vice president wouldn't go near him. I mean, I don't even think he's at the convention.
No, he won't vouch for him. He doesn't vouch for him. All right, anyways, we do have
Everybody's questioning him about Vance.
There he is.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Well, we got Ed Garcia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
how you
hey.
doing, Eddie? I mean, we were talking, I guess, I don't know if you heard the question, but
a little bit.
yeah, I was just saying that, a lot of pressures in the restaurant business now with food cost and labor, I think being, just primary concerns. And yet you guys, seem to deal with this without, going constantly into price increases and things like that. How the hell do you do it, man? It's great.
Well, I'll tell you, the most important thing is that you don't lose value. There's a lot on shrinkflation and, we just being very smart. We're protecting our core items and, our 6-ounce sirloin, our early dine menu, all those big pieces right there, I think is, just the core of surviving. What's important is that, value is not just necessarily the price on the steak, but I'm very passionate about having the peanuts inside the restaurant. When you come in, you can grab a bag of peanuts, the fresh baked bread. I mean, there are restaurants. I mean, I started off this industry 30 years ago with Mexican is really one of the bigger chains that I worked with. And you go to Mexican restaurants today, and that's something they ask. They're like, hey, it's an appetizer you pay for when it used to be the standard. Yeah. And with Texas Roadhouse, you're going to get that fresh baked bread with the honey cinnamon butter that we make in-house. And I think that's the part that's going to keep the family together. The line dancing, it takes 3 minutes out of the staff's day. And some of our guests, they don't understand it. They're like, hey, I don't come here for line dance. I came here for a meal. But for other people, it just brings a little bit of fun and some energy. And that's not something we're going to go away from. And I think that's how it keeps our restaurants full, which helps us keep our prices low.
I agree. I think the bread alone, and
Nobody sold it better than you, Tony. Really, I mean,
I think the bread alone will get you, and you could go. I'm not suggesting you do this, but you could go get an appetizer and the bread and be satisfied.
Honestly, I mean, people. Well, that's the thing is
Yep.
that it keeps going, and it a lot of time you get to a restaurant, you're really wait too long, so you're too hungry, and then if you have to wait, that just builds, and then you hold it against the restaurant, even though it's really not the restaurant's fault that you didn't plan properly. With between the app that you guys can put your name in ahead, and then you give them peanuts right when you get in, and the minute you sit down, there's literally you walk to the table with bread, so you don't have to like do the. It's like shopping when starving. Like you don't have to like just yell at the server. You're in a better place, and also
They bring the bread within a minute.
well, they usually bring it right when you sit down. And we were with at one of our places we go to with Mike Mayo this weekend. It's funny. I've never thought of it in this way, but this place Batch, they use the term service and hospitality. I always thought they were one thing.
Right.
To them, they're two separate things. It's not only being there for the person, but being there in a manner in which they feel welcome, they feel at home, and they feel like you're always there for them. And it hit a nerve to me with you guys, because that's how Texas Roadhouse, no matter what's going on, no matter how hectic it is, like, and people, when we go with my family, we don't say that we know Ed or anything like that. Like, the service, hospitality, both are intact. Like, whatever's going on in the world, whatever day of the week it is, like, the people are always there, and they're always smiling, and they're always there to make you feel welcome, which I think it goes hand in hand with prices and good food and good experience.
I'll share one more thing too that I feel a lot has changed in the industry is our servers, and this is something our founder Kent started, but we have 3 table stations. And with today's wages, a long time ago in Florida, and there's still other parts of the country, servers used to make $213, and with the pricing going up, some businesses have chosen to like, hey, we'll give them a 4th, a 5th, or 8th table, and you don't get that quality service. And that's why people choose to go out to eat, not just the food, but that connection with that employee. And that's something that we really push and allow our staff, to build a connection with the guests. So I think that part's really important, which is going to help keep our value. Now, Defo, we do feel the pressure 100%. I actually have a call in a couple weeks, and meat pricing's going up, alcohol pricing's going up. I know Lubie's not excited about that, but your favorite bottle of liquor is going to
drain its bankroll. Yeah, for sure.
But I mean that's just the world of today. But it's being smart and doing it the right way. So we're not here to gouge the guests. We just want to be one happy family.
Well, where do you stand on?
Had somebody write in that they ate 8 rolls for dinner.
Andy, yeah,
8 rolls and then had dinner.
Yeah, then had the bone and ribeye and left nothing on the plate. I don't know where you stand on soccer, Ed Garcia. I'm for some reason thinking that you might be a fan. No, okay, because and Tony, we were gonna weigh in on this too.
So upset about Copa America.
Yeah. What was that? I mean, would you have wanted to be a vendor at the stadium that day? You think, it's going to be a big crowd. I'll sell a lot of peanuts. But geez, I mean, who would want to be a part of that thing? Now that was unbelievable.
I don't know if you saw me, but I was the one working on the ducks there. I was trying to repair it.
What came?
If you snuck in by the ducks.
By accident, I fell over the 200 section, like when I was done fixing the AC. No, unfortunately, I was not able to make it to the game. I knew it was going to be a challenge. I think that,
you asked me
the
for
tickets were insane. Oh, it's okay. With Lionel Messi, Argentina making it in early, ticket prices shot up. I mean, how much longer are we going to be able to see Lionel? And I actually saw an article this morning with that injury. I mean, what is that going to do to MLS soccer here in Florida and for the league? Hopefully he gets healthy quick.
They said he was going to miss 2 games. That was the last report I saw. 2 games. So that's not terrible.
That's not terrible. You're right. So, but Colombia, I mean, they were on such a streak, and I'll actually be there next week. As a matter of fact, so I'll be here for the show, and then I go for the weekend. I'm finally taking a few days off from this new store opening, but I love the Colombian soccer team, and as a matter of fact, the goalie Rene was at Miami Flagler. After the loss, he was soaking it up with some Texas Roadhouse.
Oh,
so
nice.
I have to send you the picture. Unfortunately, the staff took the picture in the bathroom. I don't know if that's the most ideal spot to take a picture, but anyway, hey, you got a picture with the Colombian soccer team. That's cool.
Did he have a ribeye with him?
Yes, he did.
That was insane. Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you're familiar with all of this because, didn't you spend some time trying to catch like the Super Bowl in Colombia?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Well, he's married to a Colombian, I think, aren't you?
It was the Michigan game. I watched it at one of our competitors because we don't have a Texas Roadhouse there, but I watched that was Michigan versus Georgia 2 years ago. I was there for New Year's. I was in beautiful Medellin.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Yeah. I called a boxing match in Barranquilla, Colombia once, and we were talking about this because of the sort of unruly fashion that which the crowd conducted itself at the Hard Rock Stadium, and their guy won, and they had a riot after the match. I mean, literally,
we like to celebrate. So.
It was crazy, man.
Yes.
Throwing bottles and cans, all kinds of stuff into the ring. It was insane. It literally was raining like bottles.
If they win, they celebrate. If they lose, they
thank God their guy won. I was thinking I might not be here today if their guy had lost, which it looked like he was about to. All right, so I saw this and it struck me, and I thought, wow, Ed Garcia, you have to be getting a little bit of a buzz going because the Chiefs reported to training camp yesterday. I'm thinking they're the first NFL team to do it, and that means that we're right around the corner from like a kickoff classic or something. I mean, it has to be like just a few weeks away.
Yeah, we're just a few weeks away. I'm excited to see some blocking and tackling, and get back into the extreme of things. I think pro football, college football is going to be such an amazing year. Really looking forward to it.
College football, they're going to have 12 teams in the playoffs, so it's wide open.
Yeah, it's wide open.
Rutgers. I'm going with Rutgers to win the national championship. And we love you, man. We love Texas Roadhouse, as everybody does. Fantastic job. And thanks so much, as always, for being with us here on the show.
Thanks, Ed.
Ed Garcia, man. I forgot. Yeah. He's got like Colombian ties.
I think he's Colombian, or at least his wife.
I didn't know if he was like crazy about the soccer game.
Yeah, his wife is Colombian. That's the connection, I think.
Did you see this scene, Tony? I mean, could you have ever imagined this happening at I understand you could have had some riots in the Orange Bowl. That would have been appropriate. But at Hard Rock Stadium, Lubie was saying this. There's never been an incident. All the different things that they've, held there.
No, never seen anything like it.
Wow. What do you make of that? I mean, what do you think? Is that not a forbear for future games in the Copa Americas tournament, or
I don't know?
Aren't we hosting some form of the World Cup also?
Yes,
the World Cup's in the Americas.
America
will have World Cup either qualifiers or actual World Cup games in 2 years.
Oh, I think we have both, Lubie.
Okay, that works for me because I want to get to one of them because I know World Cup games are freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to World Cup.
Oh, that's right. The World Cup that's not really the whole thing's being contested in America. What happened to
Mexico, America, and maybe Canada?
Oh, in Canada. Okay.
It's North America, and so throughout North America, you're going to have, I think, Chicago, Miami, somewhere in the Northeast, and Mexico, like throughout North America, there's going to be sites having World Cup matches. Like, it's pretty freaking cool.
I can guarantee you this, Tony. I won't be in any of them. That game is so stupid. I really is. I watched the game. I tried to take an unbiased view of this stupid game, and I was going to watch it and say, okay, let me see if I'm entertained by this. You got Lionel Messi in there, and superstar caliber players. It's heated. The crowd. Why are they going? I mean, are they going nuts because they're just insane to begin with? There was literally nothing happening in this game, and the crowd's going crazy the entire time.
I love it.
You love it. I mean,
they get excited.
If there was no game, would it make any difference? Would the 80,000 people be sitting there singing and screaming and carrying on?
You take those 80,000 people and you put them in an NFL game, and you have them cheer like that. It would be spectacular. It'd be
they don't do that.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if a game was like a 3-0 game, and they're going crazy the entire time, while somebody's sitting on a ball, like when Jimmy was running Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for 1 yard of crack. Can you imagine? And the crowd's going, what are you kidding me, Tony? These people are insane. That would be the only conclusion that you could come to. There was nothing happening in that game. I don't know. I mean, did you see that thing as some kind of work of art? I certainly didn't see that.
There was 0-0 into extra time, but wait.
I don't even care about the score. It was just like a stupid game. I mean, the guy kicks the ball here, he kicks it there, goes out of bounds, fake an injury.
The original game of football.
There you go.
Yeah, and then they got smart and they made it a better game. You really are defending this as if it was worth watching? I'm surprised.
It's got to be worth watching. 82,000.
It doesn't have to be, though. I mean, people are watching the Republican convention, and they're thinking, this is good. I don't see a lot of black people there.
Jesus.
Do you? I don't know. They had that one rapper they talked to. How about that? Is Trump going to let those 2 gangster rappers that are up on murder charges that he had at his rally in New York, are they going to get to speak also?
Sure. I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, it's a shame, that whole thing. Obviously, nobody wants to see an assassination attempt, but Jesus Christ. I mean, it's the same dirtbag that was watching these guys getting crippled in the January 6th thing, guys that were trying to protect the Capitol building. Incredible.
No comment.
No comment. All right, Tony.
We love you, Tony. You're
what's the feeling in Vermont? I mean, Vermont's usually what? A Democratic state, no?
Democratic state.
Okay.
Democratic state.
Bernie's still prominent there?
Bernie, he's a god.
He's like a god.
I'm not talking Kosar. I'm talking Sanders.
No, Bernie Sanders is like a god.
I know you were talking.
Bernie is a god. You mentioned Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah?
People genuflect.
That's awesome, man. All right, good. All right, well, okay, so at least we'll carry Vermont. How many delegates did they have? Like 4? To the Electoral College?
I think 2. 2 delegates.
All right. Well, how's the weather, too, Tony? You didn't give us. Make us jealous, please.
It is 65 this morning.
Oh, my. Nice.
59 tonight.
Probably smells good. I mean, you got chlorophyll coming through your lungs. It's great.
It's not. It's perfect.
Well, enjoy it. We love you. We'll see you next week, my friend.
How's the weed up there? I'm thinking about making a trip.
It's great. It's absolutely spectacular.
Tony, you're the best, man. We love you. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Segreto. Unbelievable. Yeah. Sonny Hirsch had action on every game. That I remember distinctly. And he was not adverse. I see. Am I inclined to outburst in the middle of shows, just out of nowhere, all of a sudden I'm upset about something? Even when we used to get those evil looks from the program director, we would just shrug it off, right? We'd come right back and, make light of the fact that we had been told never to say this, bring up this topic again. Gambling again? How often did I hear that? Now they're begging for people to come on and talk about this. They're I mean, and still it's mind-boggling, Lubie, the number of young, hot babes that are giving gambling advice.
Yep.
Could they really be, well versed in all? I mean, and they speak the language perfectly. I mean, they understand the lingo, the vernacular of gambling. They have that down.
Yep.
But are they really like all of these? When do you ever see a babe at any of these events? Never mind, big days at the track. Okay, you're going to see some good-looking women there. But in casinos, you've been in casinos.
No. The women you see on these panels are not. I've never seen at an actual. You'll see it in sporting events as fans, but like.
You ever see anybody like that at the window making a bet? Give me 300 on the Chiefs.
Betting? No, never. I've
never.
Sports book? You've never seen a woman like these women in the middle of a fucking sports book.
Never. And yet, some now came out of the woodwork, and they're all advisors now.
Exactly.
Used to get Stu Feiner, right? Jim Feist, who we used to have on the show. Remember when he was brain dead, calling us at 5 a.m. out of Las Vegas? That was good. And that made for great radio also. No wonder they were complaining about Degenerate Friday shows. But, it was a classic at its time. All right, Lubie, got to get out of here now. You and the Mayo Man are going to be what? J&C Oyster? That's like a late post time for the show?
4 o'clock, Hollywood. They're
4
doing
o'clock.
ribbon cutting. It's like a whole thing. They're going to have the mayor and other luminaries in the Hollywood area today, 4 o'clock, J&C Oyster. Official, I guess, open.
And haven't you eaten there before?
Yes, we did a show there. Mayo's
Yeah.
in there a couple times. We know a few people who've eaten there. So they're open and running, but now they're doing like their grand opening
Yeah.
spectacular today.
It was postponed rain. It literally was rain out theater the last time because we had that wild flooding going on.
Mayo. Yeah, the rain screwed Mayo. He's very close to this area.
Very much so. Okay, so looking forward to that. That's 4 o'clock today.
Yes.
And then tomorrow we'll be at 1 o'clock at I hope some people come out. Wicked cheesesteaks.
Blast.
Wow. That's going to be fun. All right. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Our thanks to Tony Segreto and Garcia for joining us here on the show.
Trivia challenge. Gergs is in. We will have a trivia challenge tomorrow.
Trivia tomorrow. Okay, good. That'll be a lot of fun. And always a pleasure to have Dave Gurgley conduct the trivia challenge here on the show. For Mike, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my